Hey friends, it is Jenna, what is up, and welcome back to the Board Game Garden, and welcome to another most anticipated games of something video, which today we're going to be chatting about all of the games that I'm excited about that are being either demoed or released at Essen Spiel, which I am not going to. That is all the way in Germany. There was a split second where there was a possibility that I was going to go, but then I decided to stay home. I'm hoping to go eventually, maybe in the future, we will see. I've never been to Europe at all, so I think it would be fun to make it kind of like a trip, but at the same time go to Essen Spiel. So yes, anyways, today I'm going to be talking about 12 different games that I'm excited about that are either being demoed or released at Essen. I am going to quickly get into a few games that I have already tried because of like being sent pre-released copies and stuff like that. And also ones that were released at Gen Con as well. So I'm going to get into those, but quickly before we do that, I do want to say a huge thank you again to the Board Game Garden channel sponsor, which is Floodgate Games. Definitely go and check out their website. I will have it linked down below. Today, I quickly wanted to shout out one of their Essen Spiel releases, which if you guys have heard of the game Kites, which is this one right here, this game right here, which is Skyrockets, is actually the next in this kind of little series that they are making. So if you enjoyed Kites, which Kites is a real-time cooperative game with sand timers, which is so much fun. I actually played this many times with family and friends. It's very chaotic, but it's very fun, and we really have been enjoying it. Basically, it is a game where you have a hand of cards, and each card is going to have either 1 or 2 colors of sand timers. On your turn, you're going to play down one of those cards and then flip the 1 or 2 coordinating sand timers. And in Kites, you are just simply trying to get through the whole deck of cards without any of the sand timers running out. If that happens, then one of your kites has fallen to the ground, and it's not fun when your kite falls to the ground. So it's very fun. There's a few different modules that you can add in with some fun additional cards and stuff like that. But the star of the show for Essen Spiel is Skyrockets, Festivals and Fires. So this is a step up from Kites. So if you have really enjoyed Kites, if it's something that you were interested in, I would definitely recommend checking out Skyrockets. It will also be released on their website. I believe it'll be available when this video goes up. If not, I will put the date right here when you can go and grab Skyrockets, which I believe they have some like extra things if you pre-order it on their website, but they are going to be releasing it at Essen Spiel as well. I will be putting their booth number here as well if you guys want to go and check out what Floodgate Games has to offer. They also have Everything Ever. They have the Sagrada Artisans as well. A bunch of their games that I enjoy. But yeah, Skyrockets, like I said, is similar to Kites, but it adds a little bit more where you are actually putting on a firework show and you are kind of having to go through different festivals. So it's actually kind of turning it into a little bit of, not a campaign, but you're going through different scenarios, and each scenario or each festival is going to have some different rules, some slight changes, which I think is a really good addition to Kites. And another thing is that you actually have a timer hourglass. So you are trying to actually move that timer forward because the round is not necessarily going to end when you're finished with all of your cards. It's actually going to end once you get that timer to the end of, there's like a little board that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I believe, and you're trying to get it all the way to the end to finish your fireworks show. Also, you can run out of time in Kites. You actually, if you run out of time on any of the sand timers, the round is automatically over, but in Skyrockets, you actually have 3 chances. So you have this little audience, and basically, if you run out of a sand timer, you flip over one of your audience tiles, and that's kind of representing your audience kind of leaving because that one firework did not go off, and it was unfortunate and sad, and it made a little bit of your audience upset, so they left, which I think is very fun. But yes, it's a great cooperative, fun game. Definitely recommend going and checking it out. Again, huge thank you to Floodgate Games for sponsoring today's video as well as being a channel sponsor. I really appreciate it. And yeah, definitely go and check out Skyrockets. We are going to get into all of the other games that I am excited about for Essen. Like I said, I'm going to quickly go into a little bit of a list of games that I've already played and I recommend you go and check out. But then going forward, I will be doing 12 games that I have not played that I'm just interested in seeing more about. So if you guys want to see that, then just keep on watching. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoy. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. And comment down below any of the games that you are also interested in, or you can also add some additional ones down below that you are interested in checking out. I would love to chat about that down below. The preview for Essen on the Board Game Geek website is insane. There's like over 1,000 listings. So it was very, very difficult to narrow it down to 12, but we did it. And without further ado, let's get into this video, shall we? All right, so quickly I'm going to list off the 10 games that I've already played that I have really enjoyed and I definitely recommend you go and check out at Essen. First one is the White Castle. I actually just recently played that solo. I will say solo is not amazing. I find it very, very difficult, and I know a few other content creators found it very difficult as well, but I am so excited to play the White Castle multiplayer. I absolutely loved the gameplay of the White Castle, so I am very, very intrigued to see how it plays with more players. So that's the first one. Also, Zoo Tycoon, the board game. I did do a full preview on this game, and it is actually being released at Essen, I believe. The campaign of Zoo Tycoon, the board game, is fulfilling very soon, which is so exciting. So I will have the video up here if you guys want to go check out the preview for that. But it was a fantastic game. Really enjoyed that one. Redwood, I really enjoyed. There is a game called Portals, which actually I have right here. This is probably one of my favorite covers of a board game. I think this is freaking beautiful, and I am so excited because this I'm actually doing a preview on. When this video goes up, I believe the next video is going to be my preview of Portals, so definitely keep an eye out for that. Very, very excited for this one. I have played it, and spoiler alert, it is very fun, and it does play a good solo mode, so that is Portals. I'm excited to talk about that in a preview. Also, Fit to Print, absolutely fantastic. One of my new obsessions of a board game. I personally love it. Francis unfortunately did not love it because he, I guess, gets stressed under pressure with a real-time game, but I'm excited to try Fit to Print solo. Point City, awesome game. Also Critter Kitchen, there will be demoing that at Essen. Sweet Mess Pastry Competition, I have really been enjoying as well. And then also Gap, which is a card game. I just recently talked about a bunch of small box games in my last video, and Gap was one of them that I've been really enjoying. So those are just a few games before we get into the 12 that I'm going to be talking about today. So yes, let's get into the 12 games that I have not played, and I am just looking forward to seeing more and hopefully playing very soon in the future. All right, so starting off with the first one, this is a little bit, not a cheat, but I have already actually backed this one on crowdfunding. This is Witchcraft, which this is from Salt and Pepper Games. They recently, or not super recently, but I recently tried their game called Resist, which is kind of very similar, or is very similar to Witchcraft. I believe they have the same kind of gameplay, but Witchcraft is slightly different. I just love witchy themed games, and I really enjoyed Resist. Resist is a solo-only game where you are using different cards and you're using the abilities, whether you want to use their hidden ability or their revealed ability. If you use their revealed ability, that person gets discarded and you can no longer use them. But if you use their hidden ability, you can keep them for future rounds, which is very fun. And you are simply trying to like take over and defeat the people at each of the different locations. And I really, really enjoyed it the few times that I've played it so far. So when I saw that they were coming out with Witchcraft, I was like, yes, absolutely. Must try that one. I also do want to mention Septima, which is not on the list, but speaking of witchy games, they are going to be demoing that at Essen, and I am, oh my god, regretting so much my decision to not back Septima when it was up on crowdfunding. So I'm very, very sad, but I'm hoping to get it for its like retail release, or maybe I can find it like the deluxe Kickstarter edition or crowdfunding edition somewhere. But so many good witchy themed games. I don't know if there's any other witchy themed games in here. I don't think so, but love a good witchy themed game. So both Witchcraft and Septima I am very, very excited about. All right, so moving into the next game. I think this one is the heaviest of all of the ones that I'm going to be talking about today. It is a 4 out of 5 for weight on BGG, and this is Planta Nubo, which this is designed by Michael Keller, as well as Andreas, I believe, and Uwe Rosenberg. He is the third name in like the designer spot, so I don't know if he is one of the main designers or he just kind of helped along with the designs, but I have really enjoyed Uwe's designs in the past. I've played A Feast for Odin, I've played Indian Summer, which I didn't love, but I still enjoyed it because it is like a polyomino style game. Caverna, as well as Agricola, different games like that. I've always enjoyed a lot of Uwe's designs, and this one has similar mechanisms to A Feast for Odin, where there is some worker placement as well as tile placement. So there is a board where you're placing out different polyomino shapes on this little like garden, which, speaking of garden, literally the theme here is, in Planta Nubo, players grow energy-rich flowers and plants in cloudy gardens. Are you kidding me? Sounds perfect. It looks very fun. Like I said, it is a very heavy game, so I'm not going to get too much into everything going on in the game. I'm sure there's a lot of different mechanisms and a lot of stuff going on, but just based off of the theme, the look of the game, it is gorgeous. Knowing that Uwe Rosenberg had a little bit of play on the design and the mix of tile placement and worker placement, as well as it can play solo. There's contracts and action drafting, which I don't really know what action drafting is, but it sounds very fun. And I'm very excited to see more about Planta Nubo. Moving on to the next game. This one really just grasped me by the look of the game. I am absolutely obsessed with the art style of this. It is so like calming to me and so dainty. I will be putting up a few different pictures of each of the games, but this game is Satori, which it kind of gives me Bitoku vibes, which I recently played Bitoku again and absolutely loved it. And just the vibes of this gave me Bitoku vibes, which, speaking of, Bitoku's coming out with a expansion that I'm also very excited about, but I didn't put on the list. But Satori is a like worker placement game. Again, it's a Euro game, so there's a lot of things going on. The weight is 3.43, so not as heavy as Planta Nubo, but basically you are trying to advance on the spiritual path, and whoever is furthest on the spiritual path is the winner. And on your turn, you're going to be choosing a devotee at the Tori, and you're going to take them to a temple, which is like a worker placement. I don't know if like maybe the workers are shared or something like that. So you can take one of those and then put them onto a temple, and then you will resolve whatever action is at that temple. You might get resources or resolve different actions on the temples. Again, a lot of the times with these games, I don't know too much about the gameplay and really deep into the gameplay, but it's really just what games have grasped my attention. A lot of the times that's based off of the look and just the basis of what the mechanisms are. So with this one being like worker placement and giving me similar vibes to Bitoku, and just the art in it has really grasped my attention. So that is Satori. Moving on to the next game. This is a very like fall themed game. Actually, the word fall is in the title, but that is Evenfall, which looks very, very fall-like. The art in this game, again, is absolutely stunning. I watched a little bit of Man vs. Meeple did a preview on this one, and it looked very cool. There's, again, a lot of stuff going on. It is mainly like a tableau building game where you're kind of building out your own worker placement board with your cards, which reminds me a little bit of Wayfarers of the South Tigris. So that kind of automatically triggers my attention because I loved Wayfarers of the South Tigris which reminds me, I need to play that again. But yes, just everything about this game looks fantastic. You have witches, which again, witchy vibes really bring me in. It is a card-driven engine building game with both novel and familiar mechanisms for 1 to 4 players. Manage your resources, execute your actions in an efficient order, and discover card and action synergies that generate victory points. The game ends after 3 rounds, and then the player with the most victory points wins. So it sounds very, very Euro, which I love. The mechanisms are chaining, endgame bonuses, hand management, multi-use cards, which again, I think the cards have actions that you can perform. You can do a few different things with them. You can put them into your tableau to give you those different worker placement spots. There is variable player powers as well. So really, really excited for this one. Again, the art is stunning, and that is Evenfall. Moving on to a game which actually looks like it is an older game, so I don't know if they're just re-implementing this game and updating the art. I actually did see that Jamie Stegmaier did a video on this one, so it must not be too new, but they will have it available, and it was on the preview list for Essen. But this is Nokosu Dice, which is a trick-taking game, but you also have dice that are going to be put into the center, rolled and put into the center, and you are going to be drafting those dice and then placing them in front of you, and you can use those dice kind of like cards when you're playing tricks, which I think is so cool. And the interesting thing is that you're going to have information that is not hidden. So normally in trick-taking games, one of the main things is that everyone has a hand of cards. They are all going to be hidden information, and you're playing tricks without knowing what everyone else has. So the fact that you have some information that's exposed and people know of, I think it'll be really interesting to see that. The other thing that's very cool is that once you have finished drafting the dice, there's going to be one left in the center, which is going to determine the color of the trump, and then also the number trump, which typically in a trick-taking game, you only have a colored trump, and whatever trump card, whatever's the highest one, is going to be obviously the winner in that trick. But when you have a trump number, doesn't matter what color that card is, it just has to be the number, and that number is just going to beat everything. So if the trump number is a 1, you could actually beat really high cards with just a 1, which I think is interesting, and I'm very, very excited to try this one. I've been very much obsessed with trick-taking games recently, so much that my friends Aiden and Tyler are getting sick of trick-taking games, but I just love trying out trick-taking games, and I just find it so cool when someone does like a cool spin on the basic trick-taking mechanism. So that is Nokosu Dice. So moving into the next game, no one is going to be surprised by this one because it is a coffee-themed game, and I am trying to collect all of the coffee-themed games. I love coffee and coffee-themed games. Fun fact, I do have, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, it's going to be upside down, but I do have a coffee mug tattooed on my wrist, so you know someone is obsessed with coffee when they're willing to get a tattoo of it. But I have my coffee every morning. It is my ritual. It is my calming thing I like to do in the morning. So I just love coffee, and I love coffee-themed games. So the game is Coffee Rush. This I've actually seen before. I think it is already released in Asia. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's from Korea Board Games. And I've seen it up on pre-order on Board Game Bliss and a few other Canadian board game websites for a while. So I've known about it, but I believe it's getting released in Europe now and hopefully North America soon, so that I can get my hands on it. It is a coffee-themed game. That's really most of what I know about it. It's a pretty light game. It's only a 1.6 out of 5 for weight on BGG. It says, become the greatest barista by quickly filling coffee and beverage orders. So there's these like little glass cups, and you're putting different ingredients into those cups, and I'm assuming you're just trying to fulfill orders, and it's supposed to be like quick, I guess. But in more detail, each player moves on the ingredient board to collect the ingredients that they need to fulfill orders, and fulfilling orders boosts your rating. Orders that are not fulfilled in time become penalties, so I think that means that maybe there's like some sort of time, I would assume, because it is called Coffee Rush. so you kind of have to do it as fast as you can, which subtract from your rating. If a player has fulfilled 3 orders, they may activate an upgrade that lets them acquire ingredients more easily. Ooh. The game ends once all order cards have run out, or after a barista collects their 5th penalty card. Oh. The player with the highest rating wins. I am very excited for this one. It looks fantastic. Like I said, it's not a super heavy game, so I feel like this would be a good one to have in the collection to easily get to the table with family and friends. It plays 2 to 4 players, so sadly it does not have a solo mode, but I'm hoping maybe there will be a fan-made one or something like that. But just based off of the coffee theme, I am very excited for this one. So that is Coffee Rush. All right, so the next 2 are pretty much solely based on the fact that they're from one of my favorite publishers. But the next one is Ezra and Nehemiah, which I believe this is a religious themed game, which I don't know a ton about the theme of the game and stuff like that, but I do know that I love Garfield Games. I do know that I love Hadrian's Wall. I really want to try Raiders of Scythia. I've been recently enjoying the West Kingdom series as well as Wayfarers of the South Tigris, so I know that I'm going to enjoy this, especially because I've enjoyed a lot of Shem's designs in the past. This is designed by Shem as well as S.J. McDonald. And yeah, I'm very excited. I don't know a ton about the gameplay and stuff, but the mechanisms are chaining, hand management. There is a solo mode, which is awesome. Tech trees, track movement, as well as variable setup and worker placement. So I've heard a lot of good things about this. I'm very excited to see more about it. So that is Ezra and Nehemiah. And then the second one is also from Garfield Games, and it is the second in the South Tigris series, and that is Scholars of the South Tigris. So you guys know I've already said it a few times in this video, but I really enjoyed Wayfarers of the South Tigris, so naturally I'm excited to see more about Scholars of the South Tigris. They are both, I believe, something to do with dice worker placement, dice mitigation, which I personally love in games as well. So I'm really excited to see what this one does. It is a little bit heavier than Wayfarers. It is at a 3.97. So I do believe that people have said that this is like one of the heaviest, if not the heaviest game from Garfield Games so far. So interested to see how it plays. And it looks absolutely fantastic. It says gather scrolls and bring them back to the House of Wisdom to be translated. I don't know, sounds fun to me. So that is Scholars of the South Tigris. Moving on to the next game, this is one that I was so excited to see. I feel like there needs to be more horror games, and not so much like monster horror games, because I know that there's a lot of like Cthulhu and different games in that kind of Lovecraftian genre, but I feel like there needs to be more like horror, ghost, paranormal kind of games. And this one right here is exactly what I've been looking for, and that is The Presence. So this is a cooperative game, but could possibly have like a hidden traitor. It says The Presence is a strategic horror game that puts you in a Victorian era ghost story. Each game is either fully cooperative or one versus all. Only you have no way of knowing which one. Ooh. The game is for 2 to 5 players, where one player plays as the spirit with unknown intentions. The others play as visitors who need to work together to determine whether the spirit is on their side, while also trying to find out what it wants. The visitors will try to work together while struggling with darkness, isolation, and the constant haunting of the spirit. This sounds so cool. Who in turn either tries to earn their trust or secretly plan their demise. So excited for this game, you have no idea. Again, I feel like there just needs to be more horror-themed games. I love the theme of this, I love the sound of it, and I'm so excited to see more and hopefully try The Presence. 3 more to go. The next game is one that I have not heard anyone else talk about. I've watched already a few of these Essen Spiel most anticipated videos, and no one's talked about this one, and I'm very excited about this one. It looks cute, and the mechanisms and how it plays sounds very interesting. So this one is Explorers of Navoria. I believe. This is 2.33 out of 5 on Board Game, I almost said Board Game Bliss, Board Game Geek. And it plays 2 to 4 players, so sadly no solo, but basically the one thing that caught my attention is there is like a, not bag building, but you are taking workers out of a bag and then using those workers to draft cards. So whatever you draft out of the bag, that is the like card row that you can draft from. And then additionally, once everyone is finished drafting a certain amount of the like tokens, those actually are your workers that you can then place out onto the map, which I think is very cool. That is one thing that really caught my eye. It says open drafting, set collection, track movement, and worker placement. It says in Explorers of Navoria, you'll take action tokens from a bag and use them to draft adventure cards into your tableau. So it's also, I guess, a tableau building game, which is awesome. Adventure cards help you explore Navoria, build settlements in the newly emerged continents, craft supplies and items, and collaborate with the different races of Navoria. I think that sounds so cool. After drafting adventure cards, you'll use the same tokens you drafted from the bag to visit locations on the mainland of Navoria in a worker placement phase. Worker placement locations reduce in power after each token is placed, so you'll want to visit each location first to get the best benefits, which I think is another cool mechanism. I'm sure it's been used in other ones, but I just think it's very cool, just the phases of how you do it, where you draft out of the bag and then draft a card based off of what you drafted out of the bag. And then with those things that you drafted out of the bag, you then use them as worker placement workers. I think that's just so cool. The art in this looks fantastic. The colors are beautiful. And I'm just so surprised that no one has talked about this one so far. I'm very excited to see more about it. And hopefully try it in the future. So that is Explorers of Navoria. Next one is a roll and write version of a game that I just recently actually tried and loved. I am very excited to hopefully get this game into my collection, and this is the roll and write version. But that is Grand Austria Hotel. That's the game that I played. And this here is High Season Grand Hotel Roll and Write. So this is a roll and write based off of Grand Austria Hotel. I don't know how it plays. It is getting published by Lookout Games, and I just loved Grand Austria Hotel, so I automatically was like, yes, absolutely. If I can get a roll and write version of Grand Austria Hotel, I'm 100% in. That's pretty much the only reason why I added this one to the list, because I really enjoyed Grand Austria Hotel. Hopefully I'm going to grab that, get it into the collection eventually. I do think that there is an expansion for Grand Austria Hotel that allows for solo play, so maybe I will have to grab that as well. But yeah, I'm super excited for this. I'm excited to see how it plays and how it you know, implements similar things that were in Grand Austria Hotel. Obviously it is a roll and write version, so it's going to be very different, but I'm excited to see how that plays. So that is High Season Grand Hotel Roll and Write. And lastly, the last game here that I'm going to chat about is a small little game from Oink Games, and this is Town 77. Which I believe they had a Town 66 a while back, and I saw that Jeff and Jamie from Foster the Meeple have talked about Town 66 a lot, and I've watched them play it a few times, and it looks so much fun. I know that there's also a solo mode, and I do think that Town 77 is a re-implementation of Town 66. So I think maybe they changed a few things. I do believe that the reason it was called Town 66 is because you would be making a little grid of 6x6 of these little tiles, which now I believe it's gotten bigger and you can now do 7x7. And basically you are just doing this puzzle where you're placing down these tiles that are different shapes and different colors, and you are trying to make it so you can do a 7x7 with all different shapes and all different colors in all the rows. So it gives me a little bit of Sudoku vibes, which I love Sudoku, and anything that gives me those vibes I know I'm going to like, and it's just a fun puzzle. So that's just a small little game I wanted to end off the video with. That is Town 77. All right, friends, so that is going to be everything for the 12 games that I'm looking forward to that are being either demoed or released at Essen, which let me know down in the comments, like I said, what other releases you are excited about. Any of the ones that I chatted about today that you're also excited about, let me know down below. Again, a huge thank you to Floodgate Games for sponsoring today's video and being a Board Game Garden channel sponsor. Like I mentioned, definitely go and check out their release at Essen Spiel. This is Skyrockets, if you're interested in that. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. Also hit that subscribe button down below if you've yet to do so. We'd love to have you here in the garden. I love you guys so much. Remember, you are somebody's reason to smile, and I will see you in the next board game video. Bye, friends.